Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. It's the Friday night show. I'm Mark Goldbridge with your latest Manchester United news. And I tell you what, Erik ten Hag is furious with the injury crisis at Manchester United. Raphael Varane has had his say as well. This just keeps coming at us, doesn't it? And it's funny because we talk about this day after day, week after week. What will be the derailment of Manchester United's season? I said it to you after the Burnley game. I don't necessarily think Man United will struggle to necessarily get into a top four race. I think our biggest enemy is going to be injury, and I think people think it's a bit of a joke. I think people think we've just been a bit unlucky with injury. I think people think it's a coincidence. It's not. We're screwed, and we're going to be screwed all season. You do something enough and you will get sore. I think everybody knows that. Whatever it is. Wipe your arse loads and loads and loads of times with toilet paper, you'll get a sore arse. Do other things. Watch too much internet, you'll get sore. This is what's happening to Manchester United. They're doing too much of things for too long, and now they've got players who are getting injured. Reguilon, injured. Martinez, out for 3 months, injured. We've only got one fit fullback out of 6. We are absolutely derailed at the moment, and Erik ten Hag has come out and given a very frank and honest opinion on why it's happening, and so has Raphael Varane. And it's no surprise. And I sometimes get tired of it. I do it on the podcast every week, Goldbridge Saves Football. We talk about VAR, but I've been talking about this for ages. All these absolute Zooms out there who go, I love the fact that there's 12 minutes added on at the end of every game. Yeah, are you going to love the fact that you're watching Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay week in, week out because most of our team is injured? It's happening to Chelsea. Like, you're idiots, basically. You need to stand up and do something about it because you're paying the same price for the shirt. You're paying the same price to Sky and TNT and everybody else, but you're getting a diluted product. Like, Varane is literally talking about this. I'll read you what Varane said in a minute. He's literally saying, too many games, they keep adding more games, and the quality is dropping, and it's dropping off a bloody cliff. He may be furious, but he's partly to blame, says Rory. It ain't an extra 5 minutes at the end of every game. It is, Rory. Well, we'll get into that. I want to hear your opinions. And David Murphy, thank you very much. I also think it's a bloody disgrace, and I'm going to call them out because I may as well. The British media who get access to press conferences are a waste of time. Over 50% of them are an absolute waste of time. I mean, they literally are lazy. Another press conference and another question about Jadon Sancho. I mean, you may as well ask Ten Hag what was his inspiration for his hairstyle. It's completely and utterly irrelevant. What did you have for your breakfast, Eric? At least you might get a different answer. He was literally asked a question about Jadon Sancho again today, as if he's going to go. I mean, we've had a year of Ten Hag now. We know what he's like. We know when he gets asked about a transfer of a player he's about to buy, he goes, I'm not going to speak about it, And he is never going to give you anything about Jadon Sancho. And you still ask the same question. Eric, what's the situation with Jadon Sancho? Well, you know what? I know I've said I don't want to talk about it, but actually you've caught me in the right mood. I think he's a right shithouse. I do. I think he's a right shithouse. And nobody gets away with putting tweets out about me, especially not him. He's shit. He is better. You know who I think is better than him? Marcus Albrighton. I think he's absolutely overhyped. I think Ollie's an idiot for spending 75 million on him. You should see him in training. He's absolute shit. He's rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. I mean, imagine if he said that. Oh, it'd be terrible then, wouldn't it? But why ask him the question? He's never going to give you anything. Why ask him the question? So anyway, loads to get into on the show tonight. I'm going to start off with Erik ten Hag's comments about the injuries. If you are tuning in and you haven't seen the stuff going on today, unfortunately, we are in a situation where Martinez is going to be out for 3 months. Reguilon is going to be out until after the international break, which means somebody's going to have to play left back tomorrow who's not a left back. It could be Amrabat, it could be Lindelof. I think we might see Maguire and Varane again tomorrow because of this injury. But we'll go through that and figure out how we might line the team up. Can I just give a shout out as well? I don't know whether many of you are aware of this. We've got a couple of dates coming up in November and December. We've got a Christmas United Stand party in Manchester which is, we haven't even got the tickets out for that at the moment. But I did mention to you before, and I know it's payday in the UK, so some people might be interested in this. Really looking forward to it. We did it with Giggsy about probably 4 years ago. An evening with Paul Scholes in Birmingham on November the 17th, which is a Friday night. I'm presenting it, so I'll be asking the questions, etc. So it's an evening with Paul Scholes. Links in the video description, and it's in the live chat. Tickets are available on November the 17th in Birmingham. An evening with Paul Scholes with the United Stand. So it's going to be a fantastic night. It won't be up on YouTube. So if you want to be there, you can get a picture with Scholes and stuff. It was really good when we did it with Giggsy a few years ago. Really good event. And if you want to be there, check out the link in the video description or the link in the live chat. Look forward to, you can have a picture of me if you want. But I'm presuming you'll be wanting it with Scholesy. Rory says, in our case, it was a crap pre-season and rushing players back. Nothing to do with extra time. If so, are there other examples other than Chelsea, says Rory. Right, Rory, let's get into this because I want to start off with what Erik ten Hag had to say, and but basically what Ten Hag has said around the situation with the injuries is he said this: we already expanded this squad this season because we make the reason clear. We had a World Cup in the middle of the season last year. We had a longer season. We had to play a longer season than usual with the FA Cup as well. We had a shorter break in the summer because of internationals before it. Every time the schedule is expanding, the load on the players is too much. It's a massive overload. Many colleagues of mine at other clubs have pointed this out, and I have pointed it out as well. But it keeps going. We keep expanding the schedule, and it doesn't seem to stop. He also goes on to state players can't deal anymore with this overload, and I think that's what you see in the squad at the moment. And look, Rory might have a different opinion, but I actually think the only people who can really make a difference with this is the fans, and I just don't know whether they're intelligent enough to do it. I think you're intelligent enough to do it. Is it possible to recall Fernandes in January, says Jims? Well, we could do, but he might come back and get injured as well. I mean, look, I've never been a big fan of Manchester United's fitness department, and this goes back over a decade. I don't think it's very good. I really don't think it's very good. And, I don't think our recruitment department's very good. I don't think our board's very good. I don't think Man United are very good at a lot of things, really. But I have to agree with Ten Hag here in the sense that the demands on this squad were ridiculous last season. I mean, the season started at the start of August. We were basically playing 3 games a week up until the World Cup. And then we were certainly doing it after the World Cup. And I just think that it's impossible to do what they're asking to do. I have never known a start to the season like this. I've never known it. For Manchester United or wider, I've never known so many injuries at the start of a season. What normally happens at the start of the season is you get loads of goal of the season contenders, you get loads and loads and loads and loads of goals, and you get loads and loads of, hunger. And I think Arsenal look tired. Arsenal look really tired to me. Chelsea have spent $1 billion, but, where is it? The only team that looks relatively fit is Liverpool. But Liverpool, obviously, last season, maybe they've brought new players in. I don't know, but I disagree with Rory. I think when you're playing 90 minutes and then you get to the 90th minute and you're being added on another 10, I think it makes a massive difference. You go for a run tonight, Rory, and run to your limit and then force yourself to run another 10 minutes. That 10 minutes is a killer. I think they've got this completely wrong. I think that Man United are completely screwed this season. And, we've got to wrap our manager up as well as our players up, because I seriously do not think the media are intelligent enough to realise what Ten Hag is saying, what we're seeing, and the evidence of the injuries. We're going to be screwed all season. It's not like, Luke Shaw's going to come back from injury and be fit till the end of the season, or Wan-Bissaka, or, Delow's not going to get injured, or Varane's not going to get injured again, or Rashford's not going to get injured. They're all going to get injured, and they're all going to get injured again. And they're all going to get injured for the rest of their careers because there is no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no period where, the bosses of the Premier League or UEFA go, guess what, everyone? We're having a 3-month break so everyone can just recharge their batteries. They're not doing that. They're adding more games to the Champions League next season. There's 2 more games in the Champions League next year. They're adding more time to the games as we've seen this season. It's relentless. Absolutely relentless. And what people do not realise is that you are the loser. The players are the... I mean, look, nobody wants to be sympathetic to a player that's earning £300,000 a week, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the quality. If you are asked to do something once, and then you've got to do it 3 times a day, you're probably not going to give it everything you do in that one time. And I think this is what's happening with the players. I don't think we're getting the quality of football that we should be getting because it's just diluted. Why is it diluted? Money. It's being diluted for money. It's not for the players. It's not for the fans. This is people at the top of football, whether it's the Premier League, UEFA, FIFA. All they're doing all the time, and owners of clubs, they're just looking for money. Every opportunity they can. Oh, let's go and play a pre-season game in New York. Let's do it in Australia. Oh, let's have another Champions League game. Think about the gate receipts. There isn't an infinite amount of quality footballers. There never has been. There's not enough good footballers out there that Serie A, Premier League, La Liga can be brilliant. That's the way it goes. When I was growing up, Serie A was the best league. It had the best players. Then it was La Liga. Now it's the Premier League. There just naturally isn't a huge, endless supply of top quality players. They're finite, not infinite. And we are knackering the shit out of them. So we are diluting the quality of football. If Man City have got 6 players, if every top club has got 6 top players out, it's shit. And that's what we're heading towards. And people don't really realise it. It actually is happening in front of you. Man United are a prime example. No other club's in the same position as Man United at the moment because Manchester United had the worst schedule out of anyone last year. We came back from the World Cup and literally from, I think, Forest on Boxing Day to the end of May, we played weekend, midweek, every week, apart from the international break. It was ridiculous, and a ridiculous amount of football, and it's not sustainable. And, if people think that, it's just because we've got a crap fitness department, well, maybe we have. But this volume of injury is not because we've got a crap fitness department. It's because Man United players have had to play too much football, and it's only going to get worse. And it's a shame. It's a shame. It's a shame. If you've got somebody like Gary Barlow who's got a great voice, and you get Gary Barlow to sing Take That hits every 2 hours, 7 days a week, his voice is going to get ruined. And if you get footballers to try and play more football, then the quality is going to get ruined. Perhaps if we got rid of the Glazers, we'd actually have a world-class fitness department. When was the last time we had a fully healthy squad, says Acid. I don't actually agree, Acid, on that. I don't agree on that at all. I don't actually think a world-class fitness department is, I think you're going to have to cheat. I think you're going to have to start giving people injections and, things like that. I don't think it. I mean, look, this is what Raphael Varane had to say. He said, this is a tweet from Raphael Varane that was obviously put out at the start of the season. And I think it's been retweeted today. 22 million views. He said, at the start of the season, we had a meeting with the FA. They recommended what the new refereeing decisions and rules were going to be. From the managers and the players, we shared our concerns for many years now that there are too many games, the schedule is overcrowded, and it's a dangerous level for players' physically and mental well-being. Despite our previous feedbacks, they've now recommended that there'll be longer games, more intensity, and less emotion to be shown by the players. We just want to be in a good condition on the pitch to give 100% to our club and fans. Why are our opinions not being heard? As a player, I feel very privileged to do the job I love every day, but I feel these changes are damaging our game. We want to be at our maximum level, the best we can be at, and put out our maximum amazing performances for the fans to celebrate every week. I believe it is important that we, the players and the managers, highlight these important issues as we want to protect the game we love and give the fans our best. I mean, that's a world-class player who's won it all, basically telling people that this is not sustainable. We can't do what they're asking us to do. And you've got Wallies like, headed up by Howard Webb, who can't even fix VAR, but are probably sat there patting each other on the back or the head because they're adding 10 minutes onto every game. So, you've got the Premier League who are ecstatically waiting to do games in Delhi and New York and add another game in, the fabled 39th game. Super League plans, more Champions League games. It's just, what it is. People don't realise it. Footballers and fans are on the same page here. They're milking footballers dry, and they're milking football fans dry. That's what they're doing. It really is that simple. Footballers get paid what, 200 grand a week? They don't get paid any more for playing more games. So, but the clubs earn more money from it. If there's more games, there's more gates revenue. There's more revenue from the TVs. If there's more games, then Sky and BT can put more games on the TV and earn more ad revenue. If there's more games, then Premier League can charge for more games. The UEFA can charge for more games. If there's more games, then there's more games to sell tickets to fans who will have to pay to go to those games. It's all about taking money from you and taking the piss out of the players. And it's ridiculous. You know, I've said this a few times before. I quite like NFL, American football. They owe massive game, huge game, loads of money in it. They basically only play for 4 months, and they only play one game a week because it's so strenuous and hard on the body. They play one game a week for 4 months, and then they're off for 8 months, and that's it. And yet it's a hugely popular sport. I mean, that's almost the flip side of the coin, you know, protecting your players in a way that, you know, the best way possible. We don't protect our players. We're not protecting our players. We're not protecting our fans. I mean, another side of it, you know, I mean, are we going to end up like ice hockey, where there's a game every night? It's incredible. Klopp did call this out, AMC, called it out years ago and got battered for it. Maybe it turns out we should have listened to him. Look, I've had a few Liverpool fans say that to me, and I probably had a pop at him as well. I don't really get what the point is. I've heard a few Liverpool fans saying, well, Klopp called this out ages ago and everyone said he was just a moaner. Doesn't mean he's not right. Just because we didn't listen to him then doesn't mean that we're not listening to him now. He was right. You know, well done. Sometimes that happens. He was absolutely correct. But what, you know, bit of a rant there on a Friday night, I know, but, you know, let's calm down and have a bit of a conversation about it. But I've got to be honest, I was out this afternoon. I heard about the Martinez one, then I heard about the Reguilon one, and my heart just sank. I was just like, fucking hell, how much longer are we going to put up with this? It's ridiculous. You know, I was actually like, you know, when you, obviously when I'm playing FIFA, sometimes you feel like quitting. I was just like, I feel like what, you know, we're getting to a point where if we lose another couple of games because of injuries, our season's basically fucking over in relation to the Premier League. We are on thin ice and we just can't catch a break on injuries. I mean, how many people are actually injured at the moment? When you go through the team, you've got Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Malacia, Reguilon, Martinez. I can't even think. I can't even think at the moment. There's bloody loads of them. There's just bloody, I mean, especially in defence, there's just bloody loads of them. I mean, now it feels like there isn't that many, but there has been a lot of injuries already, and there are a lot of injuries, and you just think, especially defensively, how you know, it gives a chance to Palace tomorrow, doesn't it? Why the PFA not more vocal on this subject? The only thing we have heard from them about is on Sancho, says Glenny Boy. Well, I don't know. Maybe they're getting money. I don't know. But look, you know, you look at the game against Crystal Palace tomorrow. How would you line up? Ladios says Martial's injured. No, he's not, is he? He's not. But tomorrow, we haven't got a fullback. We've only got Dalot. And he can play right back and left back, but he can't do it in the same game. So I would imagine tomorrow we are going to have to sacrifice in an area. I mean, we've all been talking about Amrabat in the midfield. I don't think Amrabat plays in the midfield tomorrow. And you know, I know he played well on Tuesday, and I know people took it the wrong way, but I'll do it again. Fuck off. I don't want Amrabat at left back. You know, we need to sort that midfield out. And if Amrabat's playing at left back, then we still are potentially weak in the midfield, not picking up the midfield runners. I know that Amrabat needs to play at left back tomorrow because we haven't got anybody else, and he's probably the best choice. But I want him in the midfield. It's ridiculous that we've got 3 left backs and they're all injured. And we've got no other right back apart from Dalot. It's incredible. And tomorrow, I presume he will go Amrabat, Lindelof, Varane, Dalot. He might, I don't think he will, but he could go Lindelof, Maguire, Varane, Dalot. But I don't know that you could go Lindelof at full back. I think he's got to go with Amrabat. But we saw on Tuesday night that there was no overlapping on the left-hand side with Amrabat at left back because he's not actually a left back. He was cutting inside and being an inverted player. So it's a problem. And the bad side of the coin is, I think we will win tomorrow. But imagine if we lose tomorrow. There'll be no concession because we've got an injury crisis. It'll be straight away, oh, Ten Hag's had a bad start to the season. Maybe he's not that guy. he's always buying players that he likes. He doesn't understand the intensity of the Premier League. He's got a fucking injury crisis. So, yeah, I don't know, but it's just... It's always disheartening when you're in an injury crisis, and we just seem to have been in one ever since the season bloody started. Rory said, would you attribute the injuries this season to playing too many games? That's a massive stretch. They need to look at their training methods. No, well, Rory, we're not going to agree, and that's absolutely fine. But you're calling the manager a liar. You're calling sports science a liar. You're calling Varane a liar. You can call me a liar, that's fine. It's 1 against 1. But, Ten Hag has said it, Varane has said it, and common sense says it. We played weekend, midweek, from Christmas until the start of June. 6 months. And then a lot of them went and played international football, had 2 weeks off, and then flew to America, played more pre-season games than we've ever played, and then went straight into a season. I think it's absolutely logical that this season is screwed because of the physical demands of what we did last season. The same thing happened to Liverpool last year. Liverpool had the same thing last year. Loads of injuries at the start of the season and a team that looked knackered. We have spoken, Rory, about the Wolves game. We've spoken about the Spurs game. We've spoken about why are we so sluggish compared to everybody else? Why do we look so demotivated compared to everyone else? And the bottom line is, you look at those teams, Wolves, Spurs, they didn't have the demands that we had last season. They weren't playing weekend, midweek every week. I think Wolves and Spurs were probably playing 1 game a week come March, April, and May, but not Man United. I think I know it's the boring answer and we don't want it, but the logical answer is that we've simply burnt out. I think we've simply burnt out. I still don't think we look particularly energetic for the start of the season, and I don't expect it's going to get any better. I think this season is really up in the air because where are we getting the energy from? It's only going to come from potentially Mount, Amrabat, Højlund, and Martial if he can stay fit because he didn't play much last year, and some of the younger players. I think there's a number of players in our team that look mentally spent. I mean, look, Rashford gets loads of shit. Was he not part of it last year? Did he not have a demanding season? Bruno's had a bit of shit. I mean, he definitely had a demanding season. I think they're human beings and they can't just keep doing it. More games will ruin football, says Jose. Teams will start to throw away competitions. City didn't risk their players in the Carabao Cup, says Jose. Well, look, I will say it right here, right now. Get rid of the Carabao Cup. To me, it's the most logical thing in the world. Get rid of the Carabao Cup. And people will say, you can't get rid of that. I remember when it used to be called the Milk Cup. Well, I remember when it used to be called the Littlewoods Cup and the Rumbelows Cup and the Worthington Cup. You know what? Get rid of it, Cup. That's what it should be. Logically, get rid of it. It's an absolute waste of time. And the only argument you're going to get is, well, it's money for the smaller clubs. It's money. Fuck it. Get rid of it. Don't care about it. Maybe all Premier League clubs should just agree they're only going to pay the under-23s. The only reason the Carabao Cup will not be got rid of is money. There'll be some financial reason that we don't get rid of it. And look, I'm not saying that Man United's board aren't saying to Ten Hag, we've got to enter it, we've got to put a good team out, we're getting money from it. Of course, there'll be a money reason for every Premier League club. Every Premier League club will be making money. But, I mean, you play, 4 games if you get to the semi-final? 3 or 4 games, maybe 3 games. 3 games to get to the semi-final, a 2-legged semi-final and then a final. 6 games, get rid of it. Get rid of it. If we hadn't played midweek, we would have had a week off. And I think that's absolutely invaluable. But the hilarious thing is, next season, even if you get rid of the Carabao Cup, there's 2 more Champions League games. In the group stage next year, it doesn't exist. So instead of 6 games, you play 8. 8 games next season in the Champions League. I mean, and we're not reducing the Premier League. We're not getting rid of the Carabao Cup. So how the fuck are they supposed to do this? And it's almost like football's got its head buried in the sand. It's not sustainable. And guess what? All these players that we've got injured may never get better because their only rest is being injured. Like Luke Shaw being injured for 2 months is the biggest rest he's ever going to get. Can put his foot up and play a bit of FIFA and get some mental and physical rest. But that's your only break. Injury. Your injury is your only break, because if you look at someone like Marcus Rashford, who played a lot of football last season, went on international duty, had a short holiday, went on tour, started the season, went on international break, plays all these games all the way through till May, unless he gets injured, which he probably will, let's be honest, because it's too much football. At the end of May, goes to the Euros till the start of July, comes back from the Euros, catches up with the team that's on tour, straight into a new season. At the end of the following season, Club World Cup. It's incredible. You know what? I don't want to talk about this sort of stuff, but it's absolutely incredible, the calendar that footballers have got over the next, there's Euros, then it's a Club World Cup, then it's the World Cup. There is no break for these players. And I'll repeat what I said. If you're an American footballer, you get about 8 months off. If you're a footballer, you don't even get 8 days. It's incredible the demands they're expecting of these players. I don't think we're going to see a hell of a lot of players playing into their mid-30s. I just don't think it's going to be sustainable. Mark, I think the only way we would be all the players go on strike, and to the people saying Bruno is the problem and shouldn't play, that's like blaming the chef, says Nazar. I would love it if the players went on strike. I would absolutely love it. I would back it. Less is more. I remember that. I remembered a few years ago, and I said this to somebody before. Remember when we used to get games built up more? Like, Man United were playing Liverpool in 3 weeks and it'd be built up. It doesn't get built up at all now. The injuries definitely have helped the cohesion through our whole side. It hasn't helped. It's good to see youth grafting and stepping up was refreshing on Tuesday. But Lewis, we're going to lose games because of it. You can say it's refreshing and exciting to see young players playing, but we will get beaten. It won't be refreshing and exciting when we get beaten again and the press start saying Ten Hag out. Look, if I've said this before, when we're not going to be successful with the reserves and the youth, it won't happen. If that was the case, Pep Guardiola wouldn't buy players for 100 million because he'd just polish whatever he's got. That doesn't happen. If you want to be the best, you've got to play the best. And we can't put our best out because we've always got 6 or 7 of them out injured. Rory and others, does that mean we don't compete for trophies this year since most of you lot claim Erik Ten Hag is at fault due to lack of rotation, says Kay. Mark, I think the only way would be all the players go on strike and to the people... Oh, no, I've done that one from Nazar. Players play more but don't get paid more. It goes to the clubs. You can't repeatedly call other people unintelligent and believe this sentence, surely, says Damo. Players play more but don't get paid more. It goes to the clubs. You can't repeatedly. Don't really know what your point is there, Damo. Honestly, I read it twice. I don't really get what your point is. A player gets paid 200 grand a week and the Champions League stick 2 more games in, or you qualify for the next round of the Carabao Cup. You will get bonuses, but you don't get 300 grand a week. Yet the club will be earning millions from those extra games. The players don't want the extra games is the point, Damo. That's the bottom line. The players do not want the extra games. I don't think the fans really want the extra games. I think some of them do. There are people out there that absolutely love it when the referee holds up 10 minutes. I absolutely hate it because, it's like I'm not a massive fan of an encore. When you watch your favourite band and then they come back on and do a few more. I get it, but I'm not massively interested in it. I'm not I don't like films that are 3.5 hours long. I like them at 2 hours. I don't need another 10 minutes on the end of a 90-minute football match because I completely understand the demand physically and mentally on a footballer. And we should have a concise 90 minutes. And the fact that the referees add them on and people go, well, it's because people are time wasting. Well, I'm sorry. That's just unintelligent people running football. You don't need to add 10 minutes on because there's stoppage time. You need to come down harder on the people that are time wasting. Very easy way of doing it. I've mentioned it before. Book them early, they won't do it. And also have a timer for every fucking throw-in. You've got 5 seconds to get that throw-in done. You've got 10 seconds to take that penalty. They'll soon start doing it. But adding these 10 minutes on where people still time waste in the 10 minutes, it's the solution of an idiot. And it's not working. You cannot do it, Damo. You cannot play a game on Saturday, add 10 minutes on. Remember there's 5 minutes at the end of the first half as well. You can't keep adding 15 minutes onto every game when Man United might be playing Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. That's another 45 minutes on those players' legs in a week. You can't do it. I said it in the summer. You can't do it. It's not going to work. People are going to get injured. You can't suddenly get footballers who are, trained to the limits, who are used to playing probably, 96 minutes, and they're now being asked to do another 10 minutes 3 times a week. You can't do it. It will not work. Centre-backs broke my leg in an over 40 league this past Sunday, and I can only imagine how much tougher the Premier League games are. The damage to players is horrible, says John. Also, the more fatigued you are, the more likely you are to get injured. So you're more likely to get injured. The statistics are there. You're more likely to pick up an injury in the last 20 minutes of a football game than you are in the first 70. So you add another 10 minutes on the end, you're expanding the period of likelihood of getting injury by what? Probably 30%. Hi Mark, I wonder if an independent panel can prove that the extra time causes irreparable injury, sort of like concussions in the NFL, says Buster. Well, that's a fact, what I've just said there. You speak to anybody who knows what they're on about, and you're most likely to get injured in the last 20 minutes of a game than you are in the first 70. So if you then add on another 10 minutes on top of that last 20, you're increasing the time and chance of getting injured. And yet we're doing it in every bloody game. Nobody thought this through, because this is why the Premier League has the worst officials in the bloody world, because they're clueless and they come up with stupid ideas as well. We often say they clearly don't understand the game when they make decisions, and they clearly don't understand the game when they're adding time on either. Why are salaries an issue? Whether you're earning 300k a week or a minimum wage, if you're overworked, you're going to get tired. Yeah, exactly, Lee, 100%. K-Flow says, so same fans want a trophy and claim a manager and should prioritise, but our best chance of a trophy means we complete. City are the only team in the league that benefits. We have the Glazers, we can't use kids, says K-Flow. Well, look, I think Kay has inadvertently, potentially, Lewis, thank you very much for your super chat. I think Kay may inadvertently have hit on something here. The only solution to this, and I think we'll see it with Man City, is that you basically end up buying 22 or 25 superstars. You just basically do what they do in the NFL. I think I wonder if that's the plan. So what you have in the NFL is, because the way American football is played, you have offense and defense. I think their match day squad, there'll be an American in here or somebody who likes American football. I think the match day squad of someone like the Dallas Cowboys is probably approaching 40, maybe even more, players that can actively be used during a game. And I think we're going to see this. I think this is what we're going to see. It's the only solution. If they're going to do what they're doing, and I think personally they want longer games because they want to insert another half time. I think they want 4 quarters, like American football. I think this is where we're heading. And this is where I was heading all show. I think this is where we're heading. They don't like one half time because that's the only time you can put adverts in. So I think make the games longer. It's getting really hard. So we'll have a half between the first half and a half between the second half. So basically 3 breaks. I think that will happen. I also think that the substitutions will increase to a point where it's probably roll on, roll off, or certainly you can make 10. And I think that to the detriment of a competitive league, you will end up in a situation where the best sides, let's for example Man City, have 22 absolute world beaters so that they can, deal with a season where they're playing weekend, midweek, and not have to play Kevin De Bruyne every week or Erling Haaland. I think we'll see natural rotation where a team like Man City has Erling Haaland, Victor Osimhen, Alvarez, and another superstar striker that they just rotate. And I think that's where we're going to head. The problem is, as I say, there isn't a depth of talent that every Premier League club and every La Liga club and every Italian club can have squads of 22 superstars. There isn't enough good players out there for that to happen. But that's what football's creating. They won't turn the tap off. They keep making the game bigger and bigger and longer. But we don't have the quality of players to meet the needs. If you look at Man United this season, to be competitive, we probably need another 6 players on what we've got at the moment, quality players. and we already have quite a big squad. Can you see football disappearing as a result, or squad sizes ridiculously increase like 40 plus, says Ray? I think football as we know it will always evolve, but the thing that saddens me about football is it's always about money. And when I think of Man United, I like to think of a best 11. And Ten Hag has said it a couple of times. I never get to play my best 11, so it's irrelevant to me. And I don't think you do. I don't think you do. I really don't think you do. For the NFL, they have 53-man roster, and for the most important position on the team, they up to the amount of quarterbacks you can carry, says Kevin Martinez. Yeah. Well, look, it's an interesting conversation, but sadly, I think that football has changed incomprehensibly in my lifetime, and it will probably change again in the next 30 years as well, massively. It's such a popular sport. Everybody talks about it. And unfortunately, the people at the top of football are just absolutely motivated by money, and that's all they'll do. And they just want more. That's what they want to do. So, look, I think it will change. Yeah, I think it will change. But look, in the immediate, I've got to say I'm concerned. I'm concerned about this season. I'd be a liar if I said I wasn't. We've got a massive game tomorrow, a massive game on Tuesday, and a massive game next Saturday. And Martinez and Reguilon won't be back for any of them. So you look at that defence and you go, right, if Varane gets injured, we're down to Lindelof, Maguire, Evans and Dalot. Like that's it. Like we've got 5 defenders to play 3 big games, and we're assuming that those 5 defenders will stay fit. Maguire's just had a knee injury. Johnny Evans is 35. Lindelof's had injuries in the past, and Varane is injury prone. So, and Dalot, Dalot's gone through quite a lot of work recently. So, I do worry. And well, look, we're going to have. I think the season's hanging by a thread. The integrity of the season is almost gone, in the sense that it's very hard to judge a season when you've got so many injuries. It's like the Burnley game last week. If we'd lost to Burnley last week, the press would have had a field day. Some of our fans would have had a field day. But look at the starting 11. That is in no way, shape or form anywhere near our best 11. So how can you judge a season? If you go and get beat by Burnley with your best 11, there's a problem. But if we'd got beat by Burnley last week with that team, it would have been, like I say, sack Ten Hag, this, that and the other. But the problem is, it's so hard to judge us at the moment because we're just not the team we can be. Harry Maguire shouldn't even be here. Johnny Evans shouldn't be here. But they now become really important players in the season, and we need them to play well. And I'm not criticising them in the sense that they shouldn't be here, but what I mean is that I don't think Ten Hag in May expected Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans to be key players for him this season. He wanted to sell one, and he didn't really want to buy the other. But that's where we are, and it's a worry. It is a worry. And we're just going to have to get into that grind zone, aren't we, where we try and win games. Fortunately, apparently Crystal Palace's striker Edouard is injured, and if they play that Mateta, he's absolutely shit. So hopefully that stands us in good stead tomorrow, although he did have 2 good chances in the second half. Kana says, if football allows rotational substitution in every game, maybe we can reduce injury, says Kana. Yeah, but you know what? We'll have to just wait and see. How does that work with somebody like Bruno Fernandes who wants to play every game? Upping the amount of players on a team will water down the games, says Paul. Yeah, the dilution of the game. Imagine a game where Man United are playing tomorrow and Bruno Fernandes doesn't start but comes on for 10 minutes and then goes off again. It's weird. It's not really football, is it? But I don't think they care what they do to football in a dilution sense, as long as the money keeps coming in. And that's that. This is why they want. And look, the Premier League were talking about doing a 39th game where you play a game abroad. Every team plays a game abroad to make more money. It's worrying. And the reason I've spent so long talking about it tonight is because we're in an injury crisis. And I completely agree with Varane and Ten Hag as to why we're in it. The Martinez one is really, really frustrating, I've got to say. I don't know anything about it. He's a really important player for us. He's the only left-sided centre-back we've got. He broke his foot, basically, at the end of last season. He had the summer to recuperate, and then he's done the same thing over again. And that can be really bad luck. Of course it can be bad luck. It might be a weakness in his foot, which is a problem. For a centre-back who's very physical, it could be a weakness and it could be a problem for years to come. Or maybe it's too much too soon. I don't know. It could be a problem with the medical department not letting him not making him recuperate properly. I mean, let's not forget when he did it against Arsenal, he went on international duty. He's not played for United since that Arsenal game, and he went on international duty. I mean, why was that allowed? And it's little things like that that might have cost us 2 weeks, might have made it worse. But I don't feel that our fitness department is at the level it needs to be at. But I also would agree that probably a lot of these injuries are down to volume of strain that these players have been through in the last 8 months. Philip says, cheers from Prague. Friday off topic. Quick thoughts on Oasis. My buddy George and I got obsessed with them. Have you been to Nebworth 96? I'm not talking about bloody music, Philip. No, I didn't go to Nebworth 96. I do like Oasis. Ryan says, thanks for the membership. And do you think Ten Hag could sub his players a little bit earlier, says Kel? Yeah. Well, look, I'm not going to criticise Ten Hag, but I was, he didn't rotate a lot last season. He didn't. But we won a trophy and got to a final and finished third. And maybe if he'd rotated, we wouldn't have got to a final and won a trophy and we wouldn't have finished in the top 4. So, we're all geniuses in hindsight. I think something needs to be done and something needs to be done quickly. Do you think this is why players go to easier leagues, says Zach? Well, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Varane fancied Saudi Arabia next summer if this continues. You can earn more money and play less football and not be injured. But I agree with Bashir. I'm gutted for Martinez. He's such an important player for us, and I'm gutted that he's out for 3. I mean, I'm sort of stunned actually that Luke Shaw, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and Martinez are all out for 3 months. I can't believe it. Like, that's 3 of our best 4 at the back out for 3 months. It's unbelievable. And I think Luke Shaw and Wan-Bissaka are out because of volume of games. And I think Martinez, well, look, it's a recurrence of the injury. It could be bad luck. It could be the way that we've dealt with it recuperation-wise. But 3 of our best back 4 are out injured. And Varane could get injured at any point. I mean, how far away are we from a Delot, Evans, Maguire, Lindelof back 4? Varane away, basically. And that is terrifying, isn't it? But, it is what it is. Key questions coming in. Obviously, tomorrow it's a 3 o'clock kickoff, so we'll be live at about 1:30 with the countdown to kickoff, and then it's a 3 o'clock kickoff. Actually, I'm on That's Football tomorrow because I'm watching Villa Brighton at 12:30, so you can tune in for that as well. Martial's injuries incoming, says Tom. What do you think, Goldbridge? What do you think this season? Look, I think that our natural place in the order of things in the Premier League this season is fighting for 4th. Anything better than that to me would be miraculous. Liverpool are way better than us and have a better squad at the moment. Arsenal are better than us and have a better squad at the moment. And Man City are Man City. So I think naturally we're in the battle for 4th. But with these injuries, I don't even think that can be taken for granted. So I've said it a few times, I think this season really depends on how lucky we are with injuries from this point. And the stupid thing is, I said that a week ago when we've lost Martinez and Reguilon. So, the honest answer is things aren't getting any better at the moment. I know Mount's back. Mainu should be back soon. But the problem with injuries is it can become a little bit concentrated. You can get by with injuries if you've got a couple in the midfield, a couple at the back, and a couple up front. The problem at the moment is it's really concentrated on the defence. And when a certain area of the pitch becomes decimated, it becomes problematic. We're weak at the back at the moment. If it was all up front, we wouldn't be scoring goals. So yeah, and the big problem with the defence is it's not going to get any better anytime soon. I don't want to scare people, but we will not have Martinez, Shaw and Wan-Bissaka until December. And it's only September. So we are going to have to go through all these difficult games that we've got, whether it be Champions League, Carabao Cup, Premier League, over the next 2 months. We're going to have to go through all those difficult games with Maguire, Evans, Varane, Dalot and Lindelof. And hopefully Reguilon. And yeah, that worries me. Mark Pratiga loves the new longer additional minutes for some reason, says Arturo. Well, you said it right there. Who is the biggest enemy? Won't let me type it, but top football, Euro football or FA probably don't make sense, what I'm trying to say. I think the biggest enemy to football is the organisations that run football, because they make the decisions and they sign them off. They're just motivated by money. I don't think they're motivated by fans or they're motivated by players. They're motivated by money. It's greed. Like Jay says, it's just greed running football and the world in general. Well, you see it in countries, don't you? You see it in politics. Greed, 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 greed. But, you know, I hate it. I hate it because football's my passion. I love watching football. You know, I'm looking forward to watching Villa Brighton tomorrow, and I'm not a fan of either. I just love football. But when your when your own team is, you know, decimated, there's nothing worse than watching your team play and know it's nowhere near your best team. And if you get beat, everyone jumps on your back and you're like, we've got loads of injuries, but it doesn't really stop the feeling of defeat, does it? Long show this evening, says Mike. No, we normally do 8 till 9, pal. We normally do 8 till 9. Please do subscribe to the channel, by the way, bottom right-hand corner, and smash a like. And don't forget, I have pinned it in the live chat, and it's in the video description. We'll have our Christmas show tickets coming out for Manchester next week. Get ready for that. But remember, we've got our evening with Paul Scholes in November, which is in Birmingham, where you can, you can be in the, I say audio, it's not really, it's tables. So you get a meal and everything like that. So it's an evening with, really. We did it with Ryan Giggs a few years ago. You can get a photo with Scholesy, and we'll be asking him some questions and stuff. Really looking forward to that, actually. If you want to be there, links in the live chat, and it's in the video description as well. Okay, I think that's it. I think that is it. Don't forget as well to check out the podcast, Goldbridge Saves Football. Really good feedback about Goldbridge, the new game. You can listen to what that's all about and get involved. I've thought of it myself. It's a brilliant game and you can be playing that. So listen to the podcast. Also, we did Premier League Team of the Season so far. There is a player from tomorrow who's playing in it, who was in Premier League Team of the Season, but it wasn't a Manchester United player, it was a Palace player. So check that out. AB, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. And Gareth Southgate says, on the injury topic, I think we need more international breaks for players to avoid injuries, says Gareth. Well, Gareth Southgate's probably very, very happy at the moment because of the Man City injury crisis and the Man United injury crisis. Maguire and Phillips are actually playing minutes for Man City and Man United, so he can actually be justified in picking them in the next international break. But there you go. Can Scholesy sign shirts? I think he did last time. I think Giggsy did last time. So there we go. East Side Rooms is brilliant. That's where it is, Keith. Well, hopefully we'll see some of you there. It's a bit more intimate in those things as well. So looking forward to it. Links in the live chat and the video description. Thank you, everybody, for that. I will see you tomorrow for the game. And great point by Jay. Don't remember the African Cup of Nations is going to happen in January as well. Yeah, so that would be Amrabat and Onana potentially out for another 3 or 4 weeks. I think it's going to be a very tough season for Man United. I don't like to be realistic, but I just can't see how this is going to get any better. It could actually get worse. It's a really difficult time for Ten Hag in many different ways. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like. Make sure you check out those tickets for the Scholes evening if you fancy it. And don't forget to listen to the podcast, Goldbridge Saves Football. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Well, I'll speak to you tomorrow. Can't wait. We need to win. Got to get behind the team. Speak to you in a bit.